hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another Thursday night edition of The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the bearded villains worldwide brotherhood. Hey, we are in the end of June. How in the world are we at the end of June? I have no idea. This will be the last episode of June. We're halfway through the year already. Halfway through the year. I don't have any idea where the time has gone. It is June 27th, and you are here for episode 220 of The Heart of a Villain. Man, it is insane. I had this conversation with my wife just earlier this week. It's amazing how much faster time seems to go the older you get. I mean, I know that like way back, it's all relevant, right? But I remember that back when you were in high school and junior high, and I know that the summers have technically, I think, gotten a little bit shorter in the time that the kids are off school, because it seemed like, we always got out about 2 or 3 weeks earlier than the kids get out now. And we seem to go back to school about a week later than they do now. But aside from that, it always seemed like, when you were in those junior high school days and you were making your way through summer and everything, you're like, there were times where, of course, you loved it, but there were times when it felt like it was like, man, this summer's just going on forever. I love it. It just goes on. And now here we are almost into July. And that's pretty much, as far as kids start going back to school in the first couple of weeks of August. So we've only got another month. This is it's insane. It's insane how quickly time flies. And now, you sit there and look back on things. And as an adult now, you look back on, you're like, you remember when spring comes and things start budding out and opening up, and then you have about a 2-week period. I think I've talked about this before. You have about a 2-week period where you can jump on your landscaping early on. And if you miss that window, then you're fighting it the entire rest of the summer with all the weeds and different things growing out. And yeah, so we're thick into that time frame right now. We've reached the hot period of the year. So now it's all hot and everybody's complaining about how hot it is in some places, when we never, when a good reminder is to remember those winter snow blows and snowstorms and different things like that we get when we have snow up to our ankles and to our knees. So if we're not complaining about something, I think then we're just not happy. But man, insane how fast time is flying. And like I said, it does. I don't know about you, but it seems like the older you get, it seems to go just a little tick faster. So we're enjoying it. We're going to try to enjoy. Let's get on here and enjoy this night. Let's enjoy the time that we have while we're here. And I surely did a lot of that this past weekend. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But so good to see some of you guys here with us here live. And I want to give shout out and thanks to everybody that is here hanging out with us live tonight. Because if you're stateside, I don't know about you, but I looked at the map earlier and it seemed like most of the country had beautiful weather right now. I look outside right now and I can see the sun still shining. It's a beautiful evening. If I wasn't doing this, if I didn't have to be here tonight doing this, I probably wouldn't be. So I'm so thankful for all of you who are here listening and watching live because it means a lot. Like I said, though, I'd be here by myself if I had to be, but it does make me feel good because I can carry on a conversation with a few of you here. Since you're here. Dapper Dan is hanging out with us here today. He said he had the stopwatch on us, making sure we were going to start on time, I guess. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly what he was meaning by that. Lurch is hanging out with us as well. Hey, what's up? I'll give a shout out to Lurch and the Empire Boys in just a minute. Shifty's hanging out with us as well. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you here as well. We got Mr. Ed Deering from Northern Indiana chapter up here. Good hanging out with you as well, sir. Good to see you here. Buff Cat is hanging out with us as well. Yes, love to see it. Good evening. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, Shrink Chef. And I only say it this way because that's what your name says. And it's just fun to say it this way. Shrink Chef. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you. Yeah, Mike is hanging out with us as well. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Hello. There he is right there. Good to see you. I hope you are doing well tonight, sir. And let's see who else we got. We got Paul hanging out with us as well. What is up? Howdy, he says. Howdy. Yes, good indeed. Hanging out with us as well. You know, that's who I've got so far. If anybody else jumps on, I'll give them a big shout out. That's who's in the comment section anyway. I know there's a lot of times there's people hanging out in the background just not commenting, and that's totally fine. It's totally understandable. But hey, I just want to give a couple of shout outs here. First of all, I have no idea. I've mentioned this on the merch section here for a couple weeks, and I have no idea how there are still. I just checked before the show started, how there are still any of these Empire State enamel pins still available for sale. I have no idea how they're not sold out, because these are one of the best, cleanest, nicest looking actual enamel pins. Just beating it off the microphone here. It's a solid pin with excellent, incredible detail, and just looks awesome. If you are into pins for only $10, and these guys get on it, they ship quickly. I mean, it's just a few days and it's going to be in your hot little hand. You will be as impressed as I am with it. Just a big shout out to you guys. Lurch, yes, very cool, very cool. I'm very, very happy with that thing. So those are awesome. But anyway, just had to give a shout out to this. I don't know how they're still there, but you go get them. Go out and get them. Hit up the Empire State guys. Go grab what's left, because it can't be very many. I want to give a shout out also. We had a couple of events this past weekend, and we did interview on the show representatives, and we talked about both the West Coast meet, and we also talked about the Beards for Bucko coming up this past weekend, both of them on the same weekend. And I just want to talk for a second about those. And I loved seeing the pictures and a few videos that came out from West Coast meet. Obviously, I couldn't be two places at once. And looking back, I said, looking back on my interview, when I was talking about, when I was talking about West Coast meet, I think I mentioned in the interview that I said something to the effect of, I don't know why it seems like it's so hard to get to Salt Lake City. It's not so much that it's so hard to get to Salt Lake City from where I'm at here in the Midwest, going through Chicago. It's because for some reason that route is so much more expensive than, but I hope to get out there one day soon and hang out with them. But I just happenstance, I just happened to check last week, and even if I go out, like, just even if I were able to plan it out, a couple of months out, not like last minute fare, it's still like 3 times 2.5 to 3 times the flight cost that it would be going even down to Orlando or going to Vegas, or roughly the same distance traveled. So I don't know what it is. I guess they think that people that are going to go to Salt Lake City just have money. I don't know, but they charge an arm and a leg out of Chicago to get there. So, but I will get over there. I would love to get over there and hang out with you guys soon. It's on my list. It's on my list for sure. But congratulations, absolutely, to the BV Utah chapter and the West Coast meet. Looked like a really, really solid event. Looked like, they raised some good money for their charitable cause. They released some merch. One of the things that they released was the patch that I kind of teased last week here. I did see, and I tried for what it's worth. I tried to reach out to Mike before the show, and we didn't connect, but I did see in one of the chats that they indicated that these, the patches that they revealed as a teaser that would be available at the event, that there were some still left available, and they would be, they were going to be out on sale, I think for $10. I couldn't find them on the site. I don't know if there's a glitch, or I don't know what's going on, but keep your eyes out, because they're really cool patches. Very good design, very cool, very detailed. Hit up the Utah guys and just say, hey, where's these patches? Because I said, where's the patches? I wanted to show them and promote them tonight. and I couldn't find them on their page. So maybe they're sold out. I don't know. But if they have them left, hit them up and see if you can grab one of those things because they're very, very cool. I also want to give a shout out, of course, to BV Lakeshore and OSW for putting on yet another awesome Beards for Bucko event. Beards for Bucko, it's one of those events that I've said, well, let's see. Okay, Dapper, you found it better than I did. He says he found them. You have to click on the West Coast tab on the page. Okay, well, see, now if you have a page, this is just me being hypercritical. So, Mike, I'm sorry. But if you have a page that says that on your page where it's merch and then it says patches, you should be able to click on the one that says patches and still get there as well. I clicked on the thing that says patches and it didn't take me where I wanted to go. So if anybody's like me and says, hey, I heard that there's a patch for a Utah, they went and clicked on Utah, they went and clicked on the patches section and it wasn't there, they may not find it. So maybe somebody can reroute that a little bit differently. I don't know. I'd love to see people buying that though. So get over there. So anyway, getting back to Lakeshore and OSW, one of the things that we talked about last week when I talked to them about this event, I said that they're constantly evolving the event, and this year with Toronto stepping back a little bit and it being taken on wholeheartedly by just the 2 chapters with Lakeshore and OSW, we knew some things were going to change, and we knew that because Toronto had kind of started the sash and the patch system thing with the games, that part of it was going to change. And we knew that there would be some changes. And I was looking forward to seeing how this would go. And once again, I'm telling you what, it was just amazing. And it's become one of my favorite events to go to for a variety of reasons. And it's not because it's the biggest event. It's not because there's a whole bunch of glitz and glam around it. It's because of what these guys have created. And this is where I'm going to kind of go a little bit later here in the show, topic wise, but there's so much cool, there's so many cool features to what this event has become. And it's just simple, subtle little things that does it. Before I get too far off topic, I do want to give a huge shout out, man. I met some really, I hesitate to start naming because I'll forget names, from some of these awesome brothers that I met finally for the first time, that, I've been waiting for meeting. Man, Paul, it was a long time coming. And it was so awesome to be able to finally hang out with you and, break some bread with you, talk to you for at length, and, just talk about stuff. And then it was fun to watch as the world, everybody at the event tried to measure up, both Phil and Paul, trying to figure out who's the tallest and and people were taking pictures with them, and people were getting lifted up by them, and it was just a hysterical, fun little thing that just happened. But that was so fun to see too. And watching Phil and his dancing at the Brazilian steakhouse, that was a treat. Man, I got to give a shout out to DC because I had never been to a Brazilian steakhouse, and the idea that you guys had, you said, hey, I guess you came up with the idea, let's go to the Brazilian steakhouse. And it was awesome to sit there and sit across from you at the table and just talk about stuff with you as well. And I thank you for my first experience with the Brazilian steakhouse. My wife had been there before, so she kind of gave me an idea as to what it would be like a little bit. But what a very cool environment. I figured out a couple of things when you go to a place like that, because the people that are walking around with the food, bringing it to the table, they're moving so fast. You've got occasional dancers coming into the room with you. You've got music going on, and the music is always more up tempo. So all this stuff is happening around you at a constant flow rate, constantly moving. And what I realized about halfway through this dinner that we had was that it causes you to want to feel like you need to eat quickly because everything else is happening around you and constantly. And the Brazilian steakhouse, if you don't know, it's basically all you can eat, and they're just bringing you, hey, you want a piece of this? You want a piece of this meat? You want a piece of this meat? You want a piece of this meat? And it's all good. And they're just bringing it more and more and more. And if you want top sirloin, okay, you want a piece of this ribeye, you want a piece of, and it's like they'll come back a little bit later, ask you again, you want some more of this? And you feel like yes, 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 because it's all very good. And you find yourself gorging yourself quickly, eating very quickly because you're just getting through it. And I think the trick moving forward when I go to a place like this is going to be eat slowly. Eat slowly. Don't worry about all of the stuff that's going on around you. You can turn the food down. They'll come back. You don't have to feel the need that you have to eat everything that's coming to you right when they come to you because they'll come back. I missed that memo. I walked out of there feeling like a Goodyear blimp, even larger than I already am, and we needed to walk. We needed to walk down to the falls afterwards. But what a very cool place, very cool environment, and I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to go hang out with. I think we had like I don't know, 12 couples, and a few other brothers that went with us to this place, and just a really cool experience. But the whole weekend was just filled with these moments of brotherhood, and that's that's one of the things that I think has made Beards for Bucko, made the Bucko event so special to me. Is and you've heard me ramble on about this before, so you know I don't want to sit on this point too long because I've talked about before how some of my favorite meets are the ones where you can just actually sit and talk to people and you don't feel rushed that you have to go from this person to this person to this person. And you feel like you have to do that a lot of times at the big meets when you have over 100 people in the same place. And Bucko has never been like that. It's always been a little bit smaller in attendance, but enough that it feels big, but you still feel like you're giving people the time that you want. You're talking to the people, you don't feel rushed. You're saying hi to to the brothers, to their family members, to their spouses. You're able to carry on actual meaningful conversations rather than just, hey, how you doing? Hi, which you feel like you have to do a lot of times at other places. And so I'm super grateful for Bucko and what that event has become. And I truly hope that the guys that are running it, I really hope that the brothers in Lakeshore and OSW really understand what they've got. They've got a very special event, and I hope they can see that. I hope they can recognize that because as many of you know, I travel around. I don't travel necessarily to events worldwide all the time, but I try to go to anywhere between 5 and 10 events a year. And I've seen a lot of things over the last several years and seen some great events and seen some not so great events, and for different reasons, that makes them great or not so great. But the one thing that's been steady, one of the things that's been steady has been Bucko. And the attendance has fluctuated a little bit between the years that I've been there, but it doesn't matter. And that's when I think you realize how special an event is. Because those little things don't matter. It's the important stuff that matters, and it's the connections, it's the brotherhood stuff. It's the conversations, it's all that stuff. And that's to me what's made Bucko so special. So I hope that the brothers in Lakeshore and OSW know what they have and look forward to next year. And let's just keep that thing going. On a funny side note, I have to say the hotel that we stayed at 2 years ago and then again this year was right next to the river, which is attached obviously to Niagara Falls. And it's an interesting hotel because it's fairly clean. But the crazy thing about it is that once again, now 2 years later, when we went the first time to that hotel 2 years ago, we found that the pool, they didn't advertise it, didn't tell you anything about it till you get there, to find out that the pool was under construction, and it was under renovation, I think is what they called it, for whatever reason. And we're like, "Okay, no big deal." Well, we get there this year, and come to find out, it's under construction/renovation. Still. Still. How long and how hard is it to fix a pool? If you're not gonna open it up, just use the space for something else. Just close the thing down. But I mean to tell you, 2.5 years at least, because if I remember correctly, 2 years ago, the pool, they said it had been closed and under renovation for, like, 6 months before we even got there then. So you're coming up on, what, 3 years almost of having no pool, and it's been under renovation or construction for that long? Come on, guys. Um, that's just insane. That's just insane. Get your stuff together up there. Get it together. Got to comment a little bit on the heat wave that happened running through the Niagara Falls, Ontario area this past weekend, because it was hot. And I don't mean to compare it to hot in the South. No, I'm not trying to do that. But unseasonably hot for the area for the time. That's what takes you by surprise. But old BP here had a reasonable way around this. It was super hot on the Friday at the meet and greet. We knew that, and we weren't looking for. We were hoping for a little bit chillier weather on Saturday for the main event, but that didn't so much happen. But it was still a nice day. But it was warm, and one of the things that I recently purchased for traveling is a nice travel fan that I bought off Amazon that folds up into itself, but it can be a tabletop fan, and it opens up to be it can sit on the floor, and it comes up like 40 inches or something like that. But it completely folds in on itself, and it's wireless, so it's battery powered as well. And I mean, to tell you what, I brought that thing with me to the event because it was outdoors. We were outdoors primarily. And I brought this thing with me, and boy, did that come in handy, because I just set it next to the table. I was a judge at the event, if you didn't know, and I set that thing on the table when I was out in the main area of the parking lot, just hanging out, but also when we were doing the judging for the beard contest. I had that thing propped up right next to me, and it worked like a charm, helped out. So if you have the wherewithal and you want to go out and buy a really cool travel fan, go out to Amazon. If you need a direct link, I can send you one. But very cool. Loved it. The thing never ran out of power. And I don't think the entire time I used it, I don't think I hit halfway on the battery. And then, of course, when I got back to the hotel, I just plugged it in. So, but very, very cool. But I had such a great time at Bucko again this year, guys. It was such a great time. So, if you've never been to Bucko, you need to go, because there's something special about that event. And I don't know if it's Canadian people. I don't know if it's because things feel a little cheaper up there because it's the Canadian maple peso, whatever they call it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's the only event that I've been to that we have parking lot parties for. Every place else that we go to, every other event we go to, we might, gather in a hotel for something, or we might gather at the after parties at some bar, or everybody's hitting up this thing or whatever, or people scatter after an event or whatever. But for the last few years, consistently, at whatever the hotel is, that's kind of the host thing, that's the host hotel, we end up bringing, and I made sure I did it this year. I brought, because I didn't bring it last year, but I brought my camp chair, my foldable chair. And man, we had a party out there for 2 nights, after the meet and greet and then after the event, Friday and Saturday night in the parking lot. People coming in after, to come in and stay. They'd park their cars and they'd run in. They'd come over where we were and wonder what in the world was going on in this parking lot party. But it was just such a cool thing because, again, not only is the meet and greet awesome to sit there and hang out with everybody and just talk. No agenda. But then the event was awesome as well. So much time to just hang out and talk and chill and have a great time with everybody. But both Friday and Saturday nights also had such a really cool opportunity to just sit there. You park your chair right next to somebody, you walk around and talk to some other people over across this big circle of people. You're sharing drinks. There's guys just, sharing cigars. And since it's Canada, some people are sharing some other stuff too. And it was just an awesome, awesome time. And it's the only event that I've been to that we do this at. And it's consistent and it's just awesome. So if you are in this thing for the brotherhood, if you are in this thing for the connections and being able to enjoy that time where you can just talk. And I always say, I've said this so many times before in this show, when I interview people, I want it to kind of feel like we're just hanging out and I'm not really interviewing you. We're just hanging out and I'm learning about you. That's exactly what this event has become. It's time for that. It allows for time for you just to hang out and you hear stories of people's lives. You find out about them. So you find out about their life, find out about what they like to do, you just find out about people. And there's just never enough of that. There's never enough time for that. So that is one of the coolest things that I love about what this Bucko event has been. So again, major, major props and congrats to Lakeshore and OSW on another awesome, awesome time for sure. So, cheers. Tonight's episode unofficially sponsored in part by Journeyman Distillery out of northern Indiana and southern Michigan. Today, I'm drinking the Journeyman Distillery Last Feather Rye. Big shout out to my co-cap, Ed, who turned me on to this beautiful beverage this past weekend. It was one of the varieties that I had not had, so I had to go out and buy my own. After I polished off his bottle on Friday night, I think it was. Yeah, Friday night. So, awesome stuff. All right, well, hey, I also real quick want to say good luck to BV Columbia. This upcoming weekend, our brothers down in Columbia are doing something really cool. They're doing an event where they're gathering with children and families from a local orphanage area, and they're providing them with food, hydration, and also pairs of shoes. In a situation where the money is tight and it goes a long way when we can donate to it, they are stepping up in a very big way to help out children who need the things that are just the most simple things in life that we often forget, that we take so much granted, that we take for granted. I'm not talking well tonight, so I apologize. But we take things for granted. And these are kids that just need shoes. And so our brothers down there in Columbia are stepping up, and they're providing over 100 pair of shoes, I think, to their event. And I look forward to hearing after the weekend to hear exactly, how successful they were in reaching their goals. But I wanted to give a big shout out to BV Columbia on hope that they're going to be able to do and reach all of the goals that they wanted to for this past week or this upcoming weekend. So good luck to Columbia on your efforts. All right. So before I get into my topic for the night that I wanted to kind of touch on, and it kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was talking about from Bucko this past weekend, I will just give a quick shout out for this company. Whether you're navigating the rugged terrain of the great outdoors or conquering the concrete jungle of the urban landscape, Bigfoot Beard Company has you covered. Bigfoot beard products are made from natural ingredients designed to help maintain a healthy, rich beard without leaving it feeling greasy or heavy. From classic cologne-inspired fragrances to fruity notes and earthy tones, there's sure to be a scent for every occasion. With worldwide shipping available, why not take an opportunity to walk on the wild side? Head over to Bigfoot Beard Company. It's at www.bigfootbeardco.com. today. That's www.bigfootbeardco.com today. Take a walk on that wild side. They have some great stuff there. They have some great stuff here. So I appreciate them coming on board here on the Heart of a Villain. All right. So what did I want to talk about tonight? Well, for the handful of people that are still here, I want to address a little elephant that's in the room, right? A little elephant, not in our room, but in the room of BV. We all know that things have changed. The scope, I don't want to say the trajectory so much has changed, but the feel of things has changed a little bit within BV circles. The map as we know it has changed. Obviously, we've had some chapters that are no longer official chapters. We've had some brothers that are no longer active brothers that have decided to, step away in some way, shape, or form, or fully. So the BV that we did know a year ago has changed. And what I want to talk about just briefly here is at least my opinions on, and something that kind of has come to mind for me and has helped me be hopeful for the future. Because obviously change is going to happen. There's always going to be change. We're a part of a beard club that's 4,000 men. That's over 4,000 men worldwide. And we come from so many different walks of life. And we have so many different life experiences, so many different personalities. So inevitably, you're going to have disagreements and arguments with people. And it's been said so many times before that just because somebody's a brother doesn't mean they're a brother. Or it's said before, we've heard a lot of people say that just because they're a brother doesn't mean I need to be their best friend. And there's some truth to that. You're not going to get along with every single person in this brotherhood. It's just not going to happen. Just like you might not get along with a real brother that you have. But it's a little different because this is the family that you choose or you chose at one point. But I am very, very hopeful. More hopeful now for the future than I was even as late as a couple of weeks ago. And much of that comes from what I witnessed in the last week. Some things that I've witnessed. And I'm not going to call out individual people because it's not for that. This is not what I want this platform to be. Because I try to stay as positive as I can about things. But what I do want to talk about is what I've observed and where it kind of led me to not feel so hopeful for the future, but then how that has changed recently. So obviously, because we have some tensions going on within the world of BV, and we have brothers saying things to other brothers, we have others defending brothers, we have others, just general things happening. And it goes back to the whole adage that I know that you're not going to like everybody, you're not going to be everybody's best friend. But when push comes to shove, we all came into this brotherhood for similar reasons. We've talked about that endlessly here on this show. And we've interviewed brothers. We've talked to brothers. I've had brothers answer poll questions about why they came here, what it was that drove them here. And inevitably, like the top two answers are the same for almost everyone you talk to. So there is some commonality there. It's not like that part of it is different. So the things that brought us together are common. The things that brought us together are all common. It's how you go about doing it that is where the differences lie. And I've realized that that's okay. I've done a lot of thinking about this because I thought, how can BV as you know it, how can it continue and go on in such a positive manner with the potential of this or this. But what I've realized is that that's okay. It's okay. It's okay for it to be different. It's okay for us to recognize that you may be different than me. You have different dreams, different goals, different ideas on how this thing that is BV should be. But at the heart of the matter, we're here for the same things. We just may go about it differently. And that's okay. I think where we have to be careful is we have to get to a point where we can respectfully agree to disagree, right? I don't need to tell you that you're an idiot. I don't need to tell you that you're a dumbass, that I disagree with you. I can tell you that I disagree with you, but I can do it respectfully, right? I don't need to try and make you feel tiny or less than because I disagree with you. Just like you don't need to do the same to me. You can have a very respectful conversation with somebody of a completely differing viewpoint on what you think is the best plan of attack for your chapter or for BV. We can have that. We're all men. We're all adults. But I think the problem happens where guys don't feel comfortable enough to do that. We have gone through life, many people, many of us in this club have gone through life not having to have those hard conversations, right? Now, I know that's not so much the case for me. I grew up, I'm a Gen Xer. I grew up as a child of the 70s and 80s, and you spoke your word and you said your word and you spoke your piece, and that was it. And there was no tiptoeing around that. But what I've realized is that the difference is that now, the people that are of that generation or of that age or even of this age that were brought up that way, we're used to being able to talk to people and tell them that they're full of it. But we can have a respectful discourse on it. And there's people who have never had to do that they have always shied away from any kind of confrontation. Confrontation's a rough word because confrontation in some people's eyes makes it feel like there's going to be some physical confrontation, right? And that's not the case. But I think people are so quick to decide that that it feels icky to them. Icky, to use a child's term. It feels uncomfortable, Say the hard thing. Say the uncomfortable thing. We as men should be able to do this. We should be able to have a conversation, talk things out, and separate. And it be completely okay that you don't agree with me and I don't agree with you. And I can still respect you as a man. I can still respect you as a brother. But that has to go two ways. That has to go two ways. And so what I have found, what made me really appreciate this, what really made me appreciate this was this past weekend at Bucko. There were in attendance brothers from a chapter that is not officially a BV chapter anymore. Brothers that I've known for a while. They were there in attendance, just like everybody else was, having a good time. And at one time, I was sitting in a round table, basically a round table discussion in a parking lot for a couple of hours with like 6 or 7 people, right? Now, I'm not going to say names, but I will tell you this. We had, in this conversation, we had brothers who, we've all talked about this thing about this form that there's a belief. And I've talked about how I didn't feel that there was a need to not sign the form. so that you could stay on the map and that you could stay an active part of as a BV official BV chapter. I've talked about that. But that's not the case for some chapters and some brothers. They just didn't want to do it. They didn't agree to it. They didn't agree with what it said, and I didn't understand that, and that's okay. But that was their decision. And it doesn't make them a lesser brother because of it. There's some really good men out there that are no longer in active chapters, official chapters. They're still active. They're still out there. They're still doing their thing. And it doesn't make them less. They're still a brother to me. It's all your interpretation of things, right? So there doesn't need to be, I saw somebody, made a comment. I think Dapper Dan made a comment. There's too many lines in the sand. Yeah. We don't have to put those lines in the sand. We don't need to put these obstacles in front of us. We can step over the obstacle, step over that line and say, hey, let's talk this out. And I'm just curious because I'm that curious person. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your viewpoint. I'm curious why you didn't want to sign the form. What was it that you read that I didn't read into the form? I'm just curious. I want to hear the mindset. I want to hear why that was. I want to hear, where you plan to go from here. I'm not critical about it. I want to find out. I want to learn. Because that makes me understand you a little bit better. Right? And I wish that we were all like that. I wish that more of us were like that. Not confrontational, not standing on the top of a hill shouting at the other person on another hill. I wish that we could just have those conversations and I could understand where you're coming from. And it's okay. And the cool thing is we can still do stuff together too. So at one point at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, until it lasted until 3. It was after 3 o'clock in the morning when we finally separated and went up to our rooms. But at one point, we had a couple of people from a chapter that was not recognized anymore officially on the map. We had a board member. We had a former board member. We had a few other officers from other chapters from around the North America that we were sitting around talking. We were having a discussion, and it was a civil discussion. And voices got raised a few times, but no punches were thrown. It was respectful. It was respectful, and it helped me to understand people's viewpoints. I don't understand what we're hiding from. Things have changed. Yes. And no, BV isn't the same BV it was a year ago. But inevitably, when you have a club the size that it is, things will change. Now, we can disagree on the reasons why things change. I get that. But just because your chapter didn't sign this form, just because you're not officially recognized as a BV chapter right now, just because those things are in place and that's happening, that doesn't mean that you suddenly changed as a person. It doesn't mean that because I signed it, because our chapter signed it, and because we're still there, it doesn't mean that we're kissing ass. It doesn't mean that we've changed. We're the same people that we were 6, 8, 9 months ago. And I just wish that guys would be more willing to have those difficult conversations and not hide behind something, not hide behind words or emotions or feelings. We're men. Why can't we have these conversations? I learned so much this weekend in a way that I did not think would happen. I had such a good time with everyone that was there. and it was fun, and it was respectful. And these guys are my brothers, whether they're officially in a chapter, officially recognized, whatever. Until they create some sort of harm to me or my chapter or my family or something like that, then maybe something changes. But just because somebody has a different viewpoint than I do, why? Why do we create such a rift? We worry so much about what somebody else is doing. We worry so much about what another person has or doesn't have, or what they have that we don't have, that we wish we had. We get so bogged down with all the crap that we forget about why we're here. Why are you here? Why are you a part of the BV Brotherhood, under the umbrella of the BV Brotherhood? Or were you at one point? Think back to the thing that made you want to be a part of this. Unless you're one of 100, 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000, that hasn't changed. The thing, the feeling, the goal, the dream, the hope, whatever it is that brought you to BV, that made you want to be a part of the organization, the Brotherhood. Even though that's changed, even though the organization or the Brotherhood has changed inevitably, what was the thing that made you want to be a part of it? And has that changed? The core value, the core thing or things that brought you there. Has that changed? No. So let's work toward that. Let's work toward that. I want to give a just a second here to be able to share some people's comments here. And I still have a Dapper Dan comment in here. From when I said the clicking thing. Let's see here if I can find it. There's no easy way for me to remove that without doing this, so I have to. There it is. All right. So, yeah, guys are talking, having a great conversation here in the chat here, and I love when we can strike up a chat, and yeah, differences between passion and anger. Yeah, guys, we don't need to take this stuff too personally. You can give your opinion and disagree with somebody else without it becoming an anger issue. Sorry, I'm just going through some. Yeah. Yeah. Shifty. BV saved my life. I was down, out in a dark place in my life, and if I wouldn't have found the Brotherhood, I probably wouldn't be here today. Yeah. There's the thing that binds us, the thing that brings us together, the thing that is the reason why we're here. It's all the same. It's the same reasons, the same handful of reasons. But we need to be able to be respectful. We need to be able to have those hard conversations. The things we have in common are far greater than the other things that don't. And I just wish that whatever the reason is that some guys are not an active part or has caused them to not be an active part, if it's one person, if it's a group of people, whatever it is, I just hope that my hope is that they could see past that and they can recognize the fact that just because you have disagreement with one 2, 3, or a handful of people, that doesn't mean that you need to push yourself aside from the whole thing. You can have disagreements, you can have arguments, and you can be an adult and you can move on and you can still enjoy this thing that we call BV. So that's my hope for it, guys. I do have hope. I have hope, more hope now, seeing proof with my own eyes that those conversations can happen. More of those conversations should happen. But here's the thing. I need to take another sip of this awesome Journeyman Distillery whiskey. Here's the thing. One of the reasons why, in my opinion, these conversations this past weekend that happened were so successful was what? Because they were in person. I could look somebody in the eyes and I could hear the emotion. I could hear the nuance to their voice. I could hear the sarcasm. I could hear whatever's there. You don't get that out of text. You don't even get that on the phone. You don't even get that on a video call. It's in person. The in-person hard conversations, that's what needs to happen. So, how does that happen? Well, my brothers, you got to travel. You got to go visit some other chapters and not expect them to come to you. That's the tall and short of it. That's it. We can't have these hard conversations on the phone or in chats because that's what ruins us. Trying to have these conversations in chats, we've seen what happens. We have seen it blow up. You can't have conversations like that. And that's one of the great things that I love about the people from my generation, because we were around before you could text, before you had any of that stuff. So you had to talk to people in person, right? I hate to say it, but the people those of you, I'm not calling myself old, but I am. Those of you who have only been around for the last 25, 30 years, when most of your life as you knew it, there was the ability to have cell phones, computers, texts, all that stuff. You don't know a time when you couldn't do that. When you had to sit down with people and talk, share viewpoints in person. That's one of the things that made this weekend so awesome, was because of the conversations and the brotherhood, that time in person. And I wish more of us were able to do that. I know that there's financial and there's work and there's family reasons why guys can't always travel, and I get that. But everybody should find one event a year at least where they can try to go, get in a car with your brothers, carpool, whatever you need to do. Go a couple hours outside your area to somebody else's event and sit down and have some conversations with some guys. Seek to find those opportunities to learn from other people. That's what it's about. Find time to have those hard conversations. I look forward to those. I really do. I look forward to those. What are you talking? Difficult conversations. Because that's the stuff that gets us home. That's the stuff it's through that struggle. It's through that emotion. It's through all of that lets us see something different. It lets us see through their eyes. It lets us feel what it is they're trying to get across. And I want to learn from you. I want to learn from my brothers. I want to find out what it is that brings you here. But we can't do that on the phone, and we can't do that texting each other. You know, we talked a little bit about several episodes ago. I want to say maybe 10 or 15 episodes ago, where I talked about, we brought up the idea about where have all the people gone? And why is attendance down at most of the events that are out there? And we've all seen it. You see photos from all the different events, and over the, I would say easily post COVID, the last handful of years, seems like the last 2 or 3 years, attendance at a lot of events has been down. And we've talked about this a little bit about what the reasons behind that are. And we are doing ourselves such a disservice when we look for that easy out. It should be something you look forward to. Yeah, you're driving 2 hours. Yeah, you're driving 4, 6 hours. I think the average time of travel for me for an event this year alone has been 6, if I average it out. But it is what it is. You should look forward to that opportunity to go somewhere out of your comfort zone, to go somewhere and meet up and talk to these brothers. That's what it is. There's a big push right now, not big, but it's vocal. There's a vocal push within BV right now. And you hear brothers say brotherhood over brand, right? Brotherhood over brand is what we hear from some. And it's always interesting when people shout out some sort of a catchy phrase, but they themselves, you question how much of that they're living up to themselves. Now, I know I don't like putting people under the same umbrella for just something that they say, because everybody's different. There's nuance to things, and I get that. But when we hear this over and over again, when we hear from people, I support the brotherhood, not a brand. Brotherhood. We hear brotherhood a lot, right? If we're so focused on the brotherhood, why aren't we out there supporting our chapters more? Why? And I know we can't send full on 10, 15 full chapters to every event. I get that. I know. But why aren't we trying our best to support the other chapters that are putting on events to whatever ability that we have? If you got a patch for sale, send a patch. Donate a patch. Donate something to them. We all know that most of these events have raffles. But it's hard for us to, it's hard to hear brotherhood. And yet people that shout brotherhood, when some of these people that are doing that, they're never leaving their home. They're just texting guys. They're in chats all the time, talking about we know who's real and all this other stuff. And that drives me crazy. Brothers show up for brothers when you need to, sometimes without asking. And I know I'm not saying you need to get on a plane, and I'm not saying you need to drive 8 hours. But if there's something near you and brothers are trying to do something, why aren't you out there supporting them? Most chapters put events out there at least 2 or 3, 4 months in advance. And most of them are on weekends. We talk about brotherhood, and we're not doing a great job at parts of showing it. But I do have hope for it. if we can do more of what I saw this weekend, if we can do more of those moments of conversation where we can agree to disagree, but I want to hear your opinion. If we're not so quick to shut somebody else down because they have a differing viewpoint. That's what brotherhood is. Being there for your brothers, supporting your brothers. I may not fully agree with everything else you're doing. I may not agree with your reasons for if you're still an active official chapter or not, or you did or didn't sign the thing, or your belief in what something else is. I may not agree with all that. But if your chapter's doing something and you're doing something for charity, or you're trying to help lives, you're trying to change lives, I want to try to help out. If you need help with stuff, I want to try to help you out. That's what brotherhood is to me. Now, it means so much more than that too. But at the very least, we should be out there trying to help our brothers out. In the last several years, it seems like it's less and less. It's easier to sit on a chat box. It's easier to sit on a video call. It is. I get it. But man, what we lose. We lose so much from not sitting in front of people talking. I look forward to that. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future. I'm hopeful if more of our guys can take these words, can move on and be willing to have those conversations. I understand you may have had some rough moments with some brothers out there. You may have had some knockdown, drag out arguments with people in a phone call or in a text or something like that. But let's work towards something. We're trying to be examples, right? So we need to do better. And I'm hopeful for the future that we can. If this weekend was any indication, I'm very hopeful for the future. It's not the same BV, but it's BV. It doesn't have to look the same. But we can move on and we can still succeed and support each other. So that's what we need to do, bros. That's what we need to do. I hope that more of us will. I really do. Hey, I want to take a quick second here before I sign off because I can't believe I rambled on for almost an hour. Woohoo! Look at that. I thought this was going to be a short episode tonight. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to a couple of chapters doing some merch stuff for this week, right? For those of you who are still here, who sat through this conversation, I appreciate you. Couple of cool merch things that are limited. I want to give a shout out. First of all, hey, look at that. That's from BV Northern Indiana. BV Northern Indiana. But it's not the pin that I've been showing the last several weeks. This is a collaboration with the Lakeshore chapter, right? So what we've done here, if you haven't seen my Instagram or the chapter's Instagram or anything else we've been trying to share, what we decided to do, we wanted to do a one-off shirt to raise money at the event. We wanted to put something in auction. Well, we weren't able to get that set up in time for the event. So instead, what we've decided to do, we did a collaboration logo with Lakeshore, which shows their lion wearing our Ezra Crow hat, our Ezra's hat, and our X Factor scythes behind it. And so using this, what we've done is we put in a limited production t-shirt and hoodie. So the hoodies are available in a couple of different colors. The shirts are available in 4 different colors. And The hoodies are $50. The shirts are $25. And all of the proceeds of this were going to be donated back to Lakeshore to put in with the Bucko money. Here's the kicker, though. Only available through July 1st. We're ending it July 1st. It's only a 1-week thing that we're doing because we're trying to get them the money so that they can close things out. So these are not pre-sale. So get out there and grab it if you can. These are made to order. So once you make it, they start production on it right away, and it should be in your hot little hands in 7 days or so, maybe 10. Awesome stuff. I love this shirt. What a cool logo we've created between us and Lakeshore together, combined the collaboration. And it has the X Factor of Lakeshore on one side, one sleeve, and our X Factor from Northern Indiana the other. So again, $50 for the hoodie, $25 for the shirt. All proceeds are going back up north to get to Bucko. So grab one of these shirts while they're available just until July 1st, so just a couple more days. And after that, they're gone. So that's it. So get out there and grab one of those. Available on the Northern Indiana website, which is bvnorthernindiana.org. bvnorthernindiana.org. Get out there, grab one. Thank you. Also, I have to give a shout out to Smoky Mountain. Smoky Mountain has a few of these patches still available. This is their new Blue Sky patch and their autism patch. The autism patch they released at Knox Villains this past year. And these things are inexpensive, but you still can buy them and help out charity. So for $18, you can get both. The autism patch is $10. The Blue Sky patch is $8. This is a relatively new logo that the chapter came out with. So if you have older things, this is the newer thing. If you like to collect patches, even if you don't like to collect patches, man, throw them in a box, but you're doing good for the charity, right? You're doing good for charity. And yeah, so $10 gets you the autism patch, and that money is going to go to the East. I think it's the East Tennessee Autism Society, I think is what they did. It's for autism. But get out there and grab Smoky Mountains patches. Please do. And then, so since I know that Utah does have it on their page, you just have to go out there and find it under the West Coast tab, I guess. These are the patches that I mentioned last week that we teased. The Utah Villains patches that say West Coast 2024. They should be available on the Utah Villains page somewhere under West Coast products or West Coast meat or something like that. But that's where you're going to find those guys. So big shout out to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much to those of you who have already purchased the T-shirts or the hoodies for Bucko. We've had several jump on and grab one of those. So thank you very much for all of you who have done so. Well, guys, man, that's it. I think I've lost my voice because I'm not used to talking for a full hour. My voice has steadily gone downhill. So that's going to do it, man. That's going to wrap up episode 220 of The Heart of a Villain. I want to challenge you guys, as I do every week, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Hey, the most important words I say every week, guys, remember them well. It's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. That's not enough. You need to make the effort to find someone to talk to. So please do. Guys, that's going to do it. It's going to wrap it up. Next week, episode 221. Who knows what we're going to do? Who knows what we're going to do? But until then, I'll be back next Thursday. Until then, take care. Stay safe. Every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action. From the start to the finish.